Good afternoon, everyone, and thanks for joining us this afternoon. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Anne Livingston, and I'm the Director and Chair of Global Community Resourcing, and I'm moderator for today's webinar. The focus of today's webinar is user perception and attitudes towards smart home technologies. If you joined us in previous webinars, you'll know that they're designed from feedback and requests that we receive through the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative. Our focus of these webinars and the collaborative is to bring together local, national and international perspectives in research and development, as well as the deployment of smart assistive technology, specifically in the community care sector. We're lucky to use our international linkages and been very fortunate to work with projects like this one we're showcasing today. And just a reminder, if you haven't formally registered at the collaborative site, it is accessible to all and is free to register. In regards to all our webinars, please note that we are not promoting or endorsing any particular product, research entity or organisations. Rather, the purpose of our webinars is to serve to inform viewers of various smart assistive technologies currently in deployment or development and the research that's being undertaken. We welcome questions through these webinars, but I will let you know that all the microphones have been muted. It's great to have this level of interest in today's topic, and in the interest of recording, your questions can be added to the question pane on the dashboard to the right of your screen. You'll see in front of you now just how to use a screenshot of the side panel that you need to use. You just add your questions to the chat box, and we just ask you to ask those questions as early as you want. We'll moderate the questions in the background and ask today's speaker those questions. At previous sessions, we've been inundated with questions, so the earlier you post your question, the more questions we can respond to. So it's really my pleasure to welcome you to today's webinar, and it's my pleasure to introduce Deepika Singh, who will provide a range of insights from her research into the understanding of attitudes and perceptions for the future of smart home users. Deepika Singh is a junior scientist at Health and Bioresources Department of the Austrian Institute of Technology, or commonly known as AIT, in Vienna, Austria. And she's in an early stage researcher with the Horizon 2020 European project titled A Crossing. Deepika is working on human activity recognition and user behaviour models in smart home domains, using simple and ubiquitous sensors. Her research interests include machine learning, deep learning, and context awareness techniques to develop user adaptive smart environments. A really interesting research area, Deepika. Welcome to today's webinar, and I'll hand over to you. Welcome, Deepika.
Thank you so much, Annie, for such a warm, kind introduction. Yes, welcome everybody for the webinar. As Annie already mentioned, this work is a part of a European project called A Crossing, which is an advanced technology and platform from ambient assisted living, and it's an Horizon 2020 project. Just before I begin with the topic, I would like to introduce what exactly area we are working on and what is the AIT is all about. So AIT, it's the Austrian largest research and technology organization, and which takes a leading position in Austrian innovation system and key role in Europe in R&D sectors, focusing on the topics of the recent topics of the futures. We are more than 50% owned by the Republic of Austria and the rest by the Federation of Austrian Industries. In all, we have 5 different departments which are divided based on their working domain. And I am in biomedical department, which comes under health and bioresources department of AIT. The figure, as you can see, illustrates how the biomedical system works. Roughly, we can use it as an analogy of how a house is built, where the most important thing is the foundation, and in this case, it's the user requirement engineering, and then the foremost, then the enabling technology, which could be seen as flooring. Then comes the 3 main pillars, which are behavior pattern analysis, OpenAL platform, and intelligent user interaction. These are the 3 main key areas which are working on, and and above are the application. That's how we create an AAL environment. As I said, that the user requirement are the most important in building an AAL environment. So we performed a survey study, which I'm going to explain now. With the increase in aging population around the world, the concept of assistive technologies have been developed tremendously to facilitate self-care, enhance independence, and provide comfort and quality of life to the individual, among which the smart home have gained a lot of attention due to its versatile application in the area of Internet of Things. So, what is a smart home? It is defined as a living environment where all the devices in the home have ability to interact with each other and also with the occupant living inside. These devices include smart appliances such as refrigerator, washers, TV, security and safety systems like sensors, monitors, cameras, alarms, etc. Smart equipment devices which are interconnected using standardized communication protocol. There has been major growth in the market of smart home devices owing to the growing aging population and rising demand of home health care, assistive living technologies, and energy consumption. The research study states that the global market of smart home is expected to grow at the CAGR of 14.5% between 2017 and 2022. The market's revenue has expected to grow up to 53.45 billion by 2022, which is tremendous. And the growth have been expected in every sectors of this field. Despite the growing interest, the smart home market is still struggling to surpass the early adopter phase to mass adoptions. So what are the barriers we can see which lacks in the adoption of the smart homes? The barriers and gaps which construct to a weak value proposition to invest in smart homes are first the technology and its price. As you can see, the products are a bit expensive now. Now, maybe it will become less after some time. Then, long device replacement cycle, which is the user then want to replace every time with the new devices. The limited consumer demands, the complicated sourcing and installation. Once you have it, these are a bit complex and require engineering for the installation inside the home. Lack of interoperability, as most of the companies are making their own products, so it will be difficult for all the devices to connect together. And for example, Apple have their own products, Google is working on their own, so it should be, this is also a issue with all these devices. Unclear benefits. People are aware of these technologies, but it's also important for them to know what are the benefits and what are the actual uses. Next, the privacy and trust relationship issue with all the IoT devices. So the wide acceptance of the smart home depends on the way it serves the needs and demands of the user to the best possible extent. And in this regard, the opinions of the end user, irrespective of their demographics, are of great importance. In addition, the past studies have conducted an empirical analysis on a specific group but the popularization of the smart home services now require more general discussion from the diverse user classes. So this study focuses on the upcoming smart home users, as I believe their opinion will help the developers in developing such systems. So we performed an online survey with total of 234 participants from all around the globe. The questions were mainly focusing on what are the needs and requirements of the participants in daily living, what they think about the smart home technology, and what are their concerns towards the acceptance of this technology, what are the drawbacks and benefits they perceive, their attitude towards monitoring and the data sharing, which data they would like to share with caregivers, doctors, and family members, and what are the made. Although the privacy security are the concern as well, we did an analysis like in privacy and security, what they think are the most private thing and what they think are like which could be compromisable. So, before conducting a survey, an ethic approval have also been taken from the university in accordance with the Code of British Computer Science Society, and the data collection have been performed in these 2 months, in January, February. The participations was voluntarily and full anonymity was maintained during the study. The average time taken by each participant were around 10 to 15 minutes for the questionnaires, for the survey. And for the analysis, I have used the IBM SPS statistics and Microsoft Excel for the graphs and item level results for each questions of the survey. These are some statistics like the Cronbach alpha to test the reliability of the survey and significant levels of 5% for the analysis. Now, the questionnaires, how are the questionnaires are in the survey? First, we asked the social demographics of the participants, which includes age, gender, location, education, their if they are familiar with the IoT devices or not. Next, their ease of performance in daily living activities and thoughts regarding smart home features, social engagement and devices which can be used for the outdoor monitoring or when they are going out for device outside the home, personal assistants like robots, avatars, and views regarding user interfaces, like what kind of user interfaces they are more comfortable with, facilities, benefits, drawbacks which they perceive in the smart home technology, the perception towards data sharing and monitoring of daily living activities and health related data, and and in the last is the privacy and security concern. From the social demographics, as I said, these are the basic social demographics which we obtain. And in this table, you can see the percentage of the people we obtain. Gender, it's kind of equal, but we try to maintain 50%, but what we achieved is 58% of male and 41.9% female. Age, we have divided into five different categories. As in the previous studies, age is usually negatively correlated with the acceptance of the technology. Thus, it is included as a factor to indicate if there is an interest in adoption of smart home technologies from the upcoming generation. So, the main focus was uh, that what the upcoming elderly population or upcoming users want in their smart homes. So also for the further analysis, we have divided the age groups into two broader categories. For the one is young adults and the older adults. The young adults are the one below the age of 35 and above the age of 35. Apart from that, we also kept in mind the people who are already familiar with the smart homes or not, and what are the IoT devices they own. This could give an idea about the demographics of all the participants. From the table, you can see that The people from Europe, America, Australia are more aware of these technologies as comparison to Asians, and this could be seen also in the IoT devices, as the people, those who are more aware, have more presence sensors, sleep monitors, and from the less aware, they are more interested in smartphones and smartwatch and other things. Next, as I said, these are the results we obtain from what the user feel and what are their needs in daily living and what are their thoughts regarding smart home feature. The question is were like, do you feel safe inside the home when you're alone, or you can do activities by yourself like bathing, cooking, grooming? Most of the people have already agreed that they are quite safe, they feel safe and they can do activities by themselves. This could be seen with the age group because the participants we have are, most of them are until the age 70 years, so they are pretty much active and they can do all of their activities perfectly, not perfectly, but kind of by their own. And also, in regard to this, a two-way analysis of variance ANOVA is also performed to analyze preferences regarding the cameras outside the home. With respect to location and age, the test result shows that age is not a significant factor, while location exhibit a high significance for the preferences of the cameras, as Asian Americans agreed with the cameras, while the European and Austrians, they didn't want the cameras inside or outside their home. Next, regarding the social engagements and devices they can use for outdoor monitoring. So what we asked, like, do you feel comfortable in going out alone, or you can do physical activities by yourself, or would you like to be monitored when outside the home? So as you can see from the result, the opinions were quite, everybody was kind of able to do their activities by their home. And most with regards to data sharing, because the participants were mainly from the young age group, so they don't like to be monitored or can track can be tracked outside their home. For the personal assistant, the results are quite balanced, as people agreed and disagreed in having a robot in their home, like for ordering food or recommending exercise. And regarding the interface, also the opinions were quite balanced. This is regarding the analysis of the whole uh, participants for the total 234. Further, in the next slide, I also did an analysis based on the age. As you can see, with the interface, the older adults prefer the interface to speak their own native languages as comparison to the young adults. Also, young adults are more preferences, have need they like to play around with the voices of the system. Like they would like to the voice of the system to change according to their preferences, like age, gender, or accent. Next, what the next questions were related with the facilities they would want in their smart homes. So automatic lighting, heating control, and safety with cameras, emergency alarms. These are the high preference of the facilities that the people want in their smart homes. In this, according to locations, safety, security with cameras and automatic locking and unlocking were more preferences by the Asians, whereas the Australians and the Europeans are more interested in emergency alarm and electric appliance controlling and monitoring the resident health status. As well, from the age perspective, the older adults are more open in medicine reminder system and safety security with the cameras, as well as emergency alarm, because they feel this is a necessity. And then, but from the young adult perspective, they are more interested in automatic lighting and heating control and automation of these smart homes. What the benefits the user thinks from the smart homes? They think it can save time, save energy, provide comfort, and make things effortless, improve the quality of life, and increase the property value as well. But the drawbacks which you see by the participants are increased dependence on technologies, monitoring of private activities, and require timely maintenance. Yeah, but the major ones are increased dependence on technologies, and they think that this technology can make them physically make less physically active. Next, the perception towards monitoring the daily living activities and health related data. The views again was more or less balanced. The people they think they don't want to be monitored inside their home with any of the monitoring devices like sensors or cameras. And also there were some privacy concern as they care about the information which is being sent to the location about their activities. And yeah, and also, but they agreed in sharing their data, which they would like to share with the doctor in case of emergency. From the age perspective, the older adults are more open to monitoring in their homes, and also they are happy to share their data with the doctors or the family members as well caregivers. And also in case of tracking the location, the older adults are more open in sharing the data in comparison to the young adults. Which data they would like to share with the doctors and caregivers? They are more interested in sharing dietary routines, calorie count, physical activity level like step count, walking, running, sitting, blood pressure, heart rate, stress level. These are the things they would really need. So these questions have really helped us in determining which features are more important and which features are to be given preferences first in designing an IoT devices on a smart system. Further, regarding the privacy perception, as I said, the dependence on technology and user privacy, this is the two main concerns of the participants. We divided according to the variables, like which variable they think are uh, they give less preference and which variable they think are like are hindering their privacy. Again, the results were quite balanced. As you can see from the blue and yellow one, from every variable they think like from the every IoT devices they think they're increasing dependence on technologies and monitoring the private activities of the individuals. Also, whether they are able to share their data with the doctors, compromising their privacy. Again, the older adults are more open as they're more open in sharing their data. Also, from the location perspective, Asians are more in sharing their data and prefer security and safety instead of, whereas Europeans and Australians are more into the privacy and by compromising not allowing the sharing of the data with the users. So to conclude, what could I say about the study? It helped us, like developer like us, in building the needs and concerns of the upcoming smart home users. Also, help in developing and defining the most important features of the smart homes, what they perceive benefits, what are the benefits they think we came to know from the study, and the most accepted facilities for the past participants were automatic lighting heating control, followed by electric appliance and emergency alarm system. And the older adults are more open to monitoring and data sharing comparative comparison to young adults, especially in cases where the data are beneficial for doctors and caregivers. the data mainly with the health related data, or yes, or the monitoring of the health related data. This data they are more interested in. And yeah, increased dependence on technologies and monitoring of the private activities were seen as a perceived drawbacks. So what I believe that the system should be the as the requirements are varied and depending on the person's behavior and their needs. So there's a need of personalized system according to the user needs, which are robust and easily upgradable, as well as to achieve interoperability and open source platform and standardized interaction of devices is much needed, as well as to control the privacy, government role in regulating privacy and security standards, as the people are more happy to trust in their when the policies are came from the government or from authorized organization rather than trusting any other uh, community or an organization, we can say. Also, the user should have control over their data and permissions, like which data they would like to share. So this will help in designing a smart system which could be leads to the needs and requirements of the people, as well as keeping their privacy intact. And to if you need to know more information about this study, you can I have referenced these two papers. The first one I've already presented in ICOS, and the second one related to the privacy is going to appear in the Smart World conference. And and yes, also you can write me on an email, and I'm also happy to answer the questions now. Thank you. Thank you from my side.
Fantastic research, and I've got a number of questions, Deepika, that have come through. A lot of
Mm-hmm,
them are in respect to video cameras, and I think it's a very contemporary issue in
mm-hmm,
Australia. I don't know if you're aware that we've had a lot of media coverage around some terrible situations in our residential care facility that have been taped by
mm-hmm,
family members. And that's opened an obvious discussion that needs to occur around video surveillance. And I've got a
mm-hmm,
number of viewers of today's webinar who are asking you a range of questions regarding privacy and security concerns around
mm-hmm,
video cameras. Are you
mm-hmm.
aware of any particular research that is looking at user perceptions in that area and in the area of the actual care settings that they're provided? So, we have some issues that have been highlighted in our residential aged care, but most Australians um, access their care at home when they need it. Or in communities. So I guess there's a range of different considerations in different settings. Do you have any comments on that?
Yeah, I agree with the videos because apart from that, apart from the online survey, which is still undergoing, I have also interviewed the elderly from the nursing home organization, and also they have an issue with the cameras, and even with the small cameras which can detect the features. Or yeah, this is the major concern. They don't like the cameras to be monitoring them, as they think this the most it's the most accurate, and it's highly not in private, you can say. But the paper I mentioned, which we have recently submitted, it gives you, in this papers we have mentioned like the detailed depending on the context, like what are the privacy concerns and what are the things they think are mostly private. So in these questions, they are they think like the monitoring of course the cameras inside. I can talk about the in the home domain. We can keep the video cameras in like the common location, like not in the private places like bedrooms or bathrooms. But yeah, the needs are varied. I agree. The needs are varied, and Yeah, I mean, that's all I can say. Yeah.
Yeah, I think there's a range of other questions. Then
Mhm.
Natasha and Desley have asked a few questions in the pane around how do you really ensure user control over all of the applications of smart home technology, and they're particularly interested in how your area of research focuses on user controls, and they asked if you have any really good examples of deployment where user control was at the forefront and it was undertaken in a very quality way.
Mhm. Yeah, but I think I'm mainly focusing on making a system which has like all the abilities, but it has in kind of a mobile app in which the user can see like which kind of data only they would like to send to the doctors. Like as I mentioned in the list, like mainly the stress level, calorie count, the the home monitoring devices. So they can select from that app that which data they're highly interested in sharing with the doctor. So this is possible from the devices. So they can use the which data should collect which yeah, they can choose from the options of the apps. That's the mainly area which I'm working on. Although I haven't aware of any device which can do the user control, but that this is just in prototype of selecting from an app or any user interface where you can control over the uh, the level of information you want to share with the
Terrific.
yeah.
Thank you for that, Deepika. I've got a comment here from a Rod,
Hmm.
who's interested in what further research you are doing in this area or planning to do, and
Hmm.
how are you planning to extend this survey? And I know that we're promoting this in Australia, so I'll hand over to you first, and then we can perhaps talk about how people can access your survey on our website.
The more user we get, the more general perception we can make. I know the 234, it's not a very good number, but just to give an idea about, but yeah, that would be definitely helpful in making the survey more helpful to the developers.
So I know that, Deepika, we've advertised it in our collaboratives news items, and that we'll continue to do that and canvass with individuals in this country to inform your survey and to actively be part of your survey. Are there
Okay.
particular focus areas of your future research, though, that you would like to discuss?
Yeah, actually, currently, this is a qualitative survey, but recently I'm working on the activity recognition inside the smart home domain. For that, I'm using ubiquitous monitoring, ubiquitous sensors, which includes like door sensors, pressure mats, and the simple sensors inside the home. And with that, my aim is to detect the person or individual activity level, or the whether the person is active or inactive inside the home. So this is basically I'm focusing on. I'm not into much into the cameras, because from the cameras point of view, what I understood, like the people are more not into much into the cameras. But yeah, if the cameras are more onto the robot side instead of installing on the home, yeah, they're pretty much okay with that, with the cameras and the robots. But inside the home with the cameras, like totally no. What from the people, what I believe. So for that, I'm using not the wearables, no smartphone sensors. I'm mainly focusing on the sensors, the simple environment sensors which are installed inside the home, and which could be used for detecting the health monitoring and physical activity level of a person. Because with the problem with the wearables and the phone, if we talk about the elderly population, they are more onto sometimes they forgot the phone, or sometimes you always have to carry the individual. Yeah, so that's why I'm more into the environment sensors. But I agree this is again an issue, like the monitoring will take place only inside the home, but keeping the participants uh, and keeping the population or the people I'm targeting, I think if the people can be monitored unobtrusively in that inside the home, or like not being monitored, just detection of the abnormal behavior pattern, so they can be given kind of alarm, like, okay, you haven't gone for a walk for 6 days, you should go out. Not daily monitoring, just like detecting the abnormal behavior patterns. So mainly I'm working on this area.
Thank you. That's great. Um, I've got a comment from George. George is
Mhm.
wondering if you ever thought about doing a similar survey on the workforce, that being the clinical workforce, GPs, but also the care workforce, being care providers.
Mhm. Um, no, I haven't done any survey with that, but I have interviewed a couple of them from the nursing home in Netherlands. I visited a nursing home in Netherlands, but uh, from them I have interviewed physiotherapists and dietitians. From those perspective, I have interviewed them, and but yeah, the number was still less, but I'm happy to extend this. It would be really interesting if you have any contact or any organization which could help in this regard. I'm happy to work with them and also
Terrific. I'm
collaborate.
sure George would like to follow you up on that,
Hmm.
Deepika, and we can put you in touch with him.
Yeah,
So look,
perfect.
thank you very much. Your presentation today is very timely and very relevant to a lot of work that is happening in Australia and is being focused on. So thank you very much for joining us this afternoon, or very early this morning your time, and sharing with us your great research. Thank you very
Thank you.
much.
Thank you so much, Anne, for all providing this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And by way of closing up today's session, I'd just like to note what's coming up next for the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative. We'd love you to be part of ITAC this year, which is being held in South Australia. So ITAC is the Innovation and Technology and Aged Care Conference, and where our team is involved in convening a site visit to the Tonsley Innovation Precinct. Some of you on the line would know of Tonsley was the old car manufacturing site, which is now being turned into an innovation space. And we've got a number of aged and disability focused startups and research that we're going to highlight in a site visit. You can find more information at the ITAC conference site, and that was on your screen. Just a reminder, if you already haven't registered for our collaborative, registration is free, and that allows you to access issues like surveys that Deepika is running, plus news and information and webinars such as today's. So easy to register, and you can get our regular updates. But in closing, I'd just like to thank everyone in the team at the Community Care Smart Assistive Technology Collaborative, and look forward to having you involved in future activities. If you need to get in contact with us, please email sat@communityresourcing.com.au, which is on your site now. Thank you.